All right, this is the work that's going to be required for week 3 and 4, I believe, which is the designing of your circuit. Now, many of you have already started this in one guise or another, and so can adapt work that's previously, been done, and so you don't have to do quite as much. But some of you will be starting from the beginning, and so I thought I'd go through what exactly you need to do on each page. Right, start off with a title, as you can see here, and then of course you need to just justify what you're doing on this page. So a little introduction on the design section of this project in regards to electronics. Right, first up, explain roughly how you think your circuit is going to work. What's going to happen in regards to my user is going to turn the product on and then press a button. When they press a button, a random number will be generated, and then my user needs to do whatever, divide it by three, and input an answer. Whatever your product is, or that particular idea, you just need to write down simply in that first box. Next up, a little pencil drawing. This could be described as a concept sketch. So a little pencil drawing of how you think the circuit is going to look. Doesn't matter at all if it's different from this. That is part of the iteration. So you've got a little idea here. Yeah, I'm going to put a microchip in the middle, got some LEDs, I've got a variable resistor, high and low. I think that should work. In actual fact, it doesn't work. There's certain things that you need to include, for example, like a pull down resistor. Right, once you've done that little concept sketch, you're going to do your system diagram. Now, your system diagram is a more extensive, I suppose, more technical, more systems approach to your idea. So the input would be, okay, I've got an input, I've got a button. My user is going to press the button. When the button is pressed, the high on the Genie, or sorry, I should say D2 on the Genie goes high, and the Genie reacts. And then in the process of it, it will be when D2 on the Genie goes high, my Genie will produce a random number between 1 and 85, and that random number will be displayed on two 7-segment displays, because the output of my Genie on Q1 will pulse that number of times. For example, if the number is 72, the leg will pulse 72 times. Then the output might be an LED, or for example, a 7-segment display. You could also put in the process, if the Genie was to pulse that number of times, it probably pulsing to a 4026. So you could say also in the process, the 4026 is linked to the Genie, and when it receives the number of pulses, i.e. 72 pulses, it then will display that number on the 7-segment displays. And then you talk about the output. Once the 46 has pulsed, the 7-segment display will show the correct number. Something like that, yeah? So you're just writing how you think this system is going to work in regards to the inputs, the processes, and the outputs. All right. So we've done the pencil sketch. We've done the system diagram. We've now got the big one, which is the circuit wizard drawing in the middle. And this may be wondering, it could be two drawings just showing the development of this idea initially not working, for example, and then what you've done to make the design work, or the circuit work. So you've got to explain how it works, highlight amendments to your circuit, iterations, explain what each one of these does. And so a lot of explanation in regards to that specific drawing or that specific printout. Also, in relation to this, which could go on this page or it could go on the following page, is the programming. The programming really is as important as the sketch or the design itself, and therefore you need to include the programming, but also explain what the programming does and how it does it. Usually you can break it up into sections with like red squares, for example, boxes around, saying, right, this bit does that, that bit does that. In regards to that, if there's not enough room on this page, you can always include it on the next page. Now, the best ones, the best pages will have feedback from the user. So the user will interact with Circuit Wizard and say, yeah, I see how this circuit works. Because virtually you have modeled it, you've played it in front of your client, they've seen it and they're giving you some feedback. Now, the very best ones, of course, will show that feedback on YouTube, for example, and they will include a little QR code which will take the marker to YouTube just to show that that has absolutely happened and you've had that conversation. Conclusion, how you've done on this page, what can be improved. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do 3 of these pages over the next 2 weeks. And I've got down here some work that was produced last year, and we can see this one is relatively simple. And then progressively it gets more complex until we get to this one. And then we've got virtual testing with a link to YouTube, I believe. And I think also with this, because the programming is becoming so complex, he's done an additional programming page just to show about the iterations they did on the programming. So that's what needs to be done over the next 2 weeks. Sorry, this video is a little long, but hopefully that explains exactly what you need to do. All right.